It did. Maybe we on to something. I doubt it, but anyway.
Maybe so.
I gotta
Look
do
at my
this.
glasses on crooked. Look.
Okay, put your glasses on right. Come on.
Oh man. This is so funny.
The stuff it picks up beforehand. He thinks he's getting away with stuff.
Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Danny and Wanda from Deepsouth Homestead.
Oh.
All right. So we come sliding in here like fresh out of the shower.
Yeah. The thing about living in the Deep South right now where we live at, if you just walk outside, you get filthy. There's so much dust everywhere because of the drought. You can't stay clean.
Yeah. And somebody must have got a touch of rain because they said what's funny, they didn't get there wasn't even a chance of rain. We got a sprinkle last week that way.
Yeah, it happened to us.
It wasn't even, it was supposed to be sunny all day. We went in, it was sunny. We come back out, it's cloudy, and we got just a mist.
A mist.
And then it was gone.
And then I said, wow, I'm going to go work right quick on the furnace. And I ran out there to start working on the furnace, and the next thing I knew, the sun was out. Just bright, sunny skies. It was gone. I was like, man.
So tonight we titled it Final Preps. So that could be a little of anything, but Danny's doing his final preps for the syrup furnace. We're almost there. We hope within, if you haven't been over to Pecan Grove, we put up a video yesterday, maybe, of how far you and Tim got along with it. And then one day this week, we hope to put up on Pecan Grove, Danny putting the fire in for the first time, firing it up, test firing it, things like that. But final preps, he can probably take it any way he wants to, but that is, and I guess I need to show him.
Oh, this Pamela Fury said, my husband got a letter from the Social Security office that says he can only get $800 on every $1,000 due to him. Wow.
800.
Yeah,
what?
on every $1,000 due to him. He got a letter from the Social Security Department.
Are they cutting that too?
Oh, man.
All right.
Wow.
Let me see how I can do this. Y'all, Tim did a good job with what he did to get everything done. Danny's got the whole furnace done. And what are you liking to build a fire?
We're just letting it dry right now because there's so much wet mortar in it. It's so thick that it's drying very, very slow. And we're under a burn ban. And it's so dry here that I hate to even build a fire in it to even, because the sparks that's going to come out the top of it. I mean, literally, when I talk about dry, guys, I mean, it is bad. It is really, really bad.
It is dry, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody, I saw earlier, everybody was saying that it was extremely dry.
It is. It's really bad. I mean, it's really, really bad.
Tyler says Social Security won't be here much longer. I think God protected us many years ago in some ways. When Danny and I first got together and married, he was applying for his disability.
Yeah.
And he wasn't old enough to draw his Social Security. And if he had gotten his disability, it would have been pennies. I mean, we'd have barely had enough to just keep the power on, keep a phone, and have some gas money, you know, a little bit to eat. And they turned him down 3 times, so he didn't get it. And Danny had made the statement, if they turn me down the 3rd time, I don't know what we're going to do. And that's when he got turned down the 3rd time. We had somebody mention doing videos, not even YouTube at that point, but doing videos and having people come and teach them how to butcher and how to grow things and stuff like that. And we were considering that part of it, but when we decided to do YouTube. I think we were working our way into something because we knew the government wasn't going to be there.
Yeah, we knew it wasn't going to be there.
And so this year he actually turned old enough to start drawing. Actually, last year.
Last year, yeah.
But he didn't start drawing it last year. He said, I'm not going to. This year we were trying to see if we could make preps in case we wanted to stop YouTube and stuff with the move and all. And he signed up thinking, you know, he paid in an awful lot
Yeah, I paid in more than I
He
really.
got the minimum amount.
Yeah.
There's people that have worked less than him that are getting more than he is.
Yeah.
And I said, look, we can't quit YouTube. We got to just hang in there a while.
I mean, it's crazy, guys. It is really, really
And because
crazy.
of that, when I worked, I made pretty good money. Mine's even less than his. And
Yeah.
and I thought with all I'd paid in recently with YouTube and everything else, that mine should be up really high. No, mine's worse than his.
Income. I had to pay 15.3 to 15.6 of my income because I was the boss, and I get none of back of hardly of what I paid in. I paid the full amount in, not half like most people who are employed pays. So it's a rigged system. I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, that's what I'm saying with YouTube. I have to pay everything. My whole thing, I have to pay it all. I don't have any employer paying half and stuff like that, and it hits us hard. And I thought, well, as what I paid in, I ought to be at least a decent salary. No, there's no decent salary.
No, well, Social Security, let's just be honest about it. It was never meant to be lived on. Okay? It was just meant for, it was an insurance policy. It was a supplement in the beginning, and they've taken it to the extremes so they can milk the system.
Joe Mama says she gets more on her disability than her husband who worked all his life. See, it doesn't make sense how they figure that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
it is crazy.
I was trying to read.
Let's see.
Tammy Stafford says, I got denied 3 times too, went to court and proved my case and won.
I got denied 3 times, and the judge told me don't ever come back again.
Yeah, they said.
He did, because he told me, he said,
just wait on your Social Security.
Yeah, he said, wait on your Social Security. He says, you're disabled. I know you're disabled. I don't have a question about that. He said, but your mind is so good, I will not grant you your Social Security because there's nothing wrong with your mind.
And that was just crazy.
Yep.
But we proved that your mind is good.
My mind, there's nothing wrong with my mind. My mind's just as sharp as it can be. But I mean,
and obviously your heart too.
Evidently.
We did go to the doctor this week. You want to tell them a little bit?
Yeah, we did. We finally made our appointment. We canceled the last one because we had to go to Azure Standard.
And then the truck broke down.
And then this truck broke down. We didn't have to go after all, but they took another 2 weeks for them to schedule me back in again. So I went back to, finally, after like a month and a half, I finally went to see them. And the nurse came in and she told me, she said, Mr. King, she said, I don't have anything I can really tell you. She said, your arteries are completely clean. She said, there's not even a trace of a buildup in your arteries anywhere. She said, everything is just immaculately clean. And she said, I really had scheduled you for 6 months. She said, but if you want to wait a year, it's up to you. And I told her, I said, yeah. I said, just give me a year. I said, I don't want to be here anyway. You know, I mean, I said, I spent $6,000 of my own money for no answers, really, other than I got clean arteries.
Yeah. Oh, this is our...
Oh, this is our greens.
If I can get it where we can show you.
Look at them greens, guys.
They are beautiful. Let's see if I can get... Where did I go? Look at this leaf. Bigger than my hand. They are getting there. They're looking gorgeous. Danny and I've done eat out of them several times.
Yep.
I canned some. Tim and Heidi got some one day. Maggie came and got some one day, and Amy come and got some. And I think Mr. D, if he didn't, it's his own fault because we told him to get all he wanted because he's been helping water.
Yeah.
So we've got plenty of greens right now.
Yep. Oh man, it's crazy. I mean, it's really crazy.
Yeah, they are luscious. They taste delicious. We had some for supper actually.
Oh, let's see here.
Well, these were mustard turnips.
We got purple top turnips.
Two kinds of mustard.
2 different kinds of mustard. Florida broadleaf and then what's called a tender green. We've got Siberian kale. We got rutabagas. And the red Russian kale and the blue night kale, neither one of them came up.
Susie Q, you did not miss the winner of the Cactoli
No.
pH meter. We have one more video we need to make, and Danny has just been pushing it on this meal.
Yeah.
And we've had people in and out this week, and it's made, and plus we had to go to the doctor, so it's made this week just been hectic. I hope to get that video shot and done.
We're hoping now. Look, we're just hoping.
It depends on him, because when I do a video like that, it doesn't go over and people don't pay me any attention. So he's got to do a little bit of an explanation and show some things with it that we didn't show the first time, because we want to make 2 videos, one with the pH and one with the EC, and announce the winner. So we still hadn't chose a winner.
Yeah, it's
Oh, Jen and Bama got her Azure apples. I hope there's some on my order when it comes in a couple of weeks. I put apples on my order. And I made Danny and I...
Where do you see that?
Jen in...
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping... Jen and Bama, that's what it's called. Yeah, I'm hoping my Azure apples get to come this time. Let's see. After using, Charles says, after using a soil test from Grower Solution, I'm low on micronutrients.
What would you use to replenish the micronutrients in the cornfield? It depends on which micronutrients it is. I mean, you can't just say micronutrients, because there's about 20 of them, you know. I mean, so you got to know which ones it is, because if you put the wrong ones, they can bind up stuff that the other ones and keep the other ones from taking stuff up out of the ground.
All right, Suzanne said, I made the red wheat bread today, Wanda. It's so good. And my Danny cornbread was great, too.
Let's see here. I'm trying to read some of this stuff, guys.
Is spinach easy to grow indoors in winter? Northern Ohio. Gonna try with my grow light this year. Not sure if you'd ever tried this before with a grow light.
I've never actually grown spinach with a grow light.
I did the
you did the microgreens,
and it has its own little grow light, and the spinach does really good. You just had to clip it off, and the way I did it, I don't know that I did it exactly right, but mine tasted good. It grew well, but I didn't grow it like to eat. So if you've got a setup where you have lights, it should do okay. I
think it would probably be all right. You know,
because
if you
get
the right,
a lot of the bigger leaves off, and it keeps growing, and you take the bigger leaves off and it keeps growing. Yeah, you get the right setup, it should be. You light. Somebody says they have no luck with spinach indoors; it gets too hot. Yeah, that would be the temperature.
That would be the thing, keeping your house too hot. We don't keep our house hot. We keep it around.
If you have a room that has maybe a window too, it's a cooler room, I would suggest sometimes during the day sitting it up in the window, and then that way it's getting natural light too.
Debbie says, why is it so hard to germinate spinach? Spinach is very sensitive to soil temperature, so that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Oh.
They're kind of like beets. Beets is very finicky, and carrots are very finicky with soil temperature and light and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you have to keep that soil just right to get those seeds to come up.
Thank y'all about my hair. I just got out of the shower.
She just got out of the shower.
And it's still wet. I'm like, I can't do anything with it. So I said, y'all just going to see a wet head. It does look better wet than it does dry and pulled up in a ponytail, but I can't stand to work with hair around my face. So I have always worn my hair pulled back most of the time.
Hey, Kayla. It says, my spinach is doing great. Direct sow outside.
Lippy did hers outside. Y'all, I actually have carrots that are about, nearly 12 inches tall?
The tops. The greens are, the top.
And I have radishes about this tall, and the leaves are doing really good. I don't know if I'll have a radish.
Well, it really depends on if this dead gum heat will go away.
We harvested the first one
Oh, what is the best? Laura Gainey says, what is the best crabapple tree to grow in Zone 8B? You know what, Laura? We just look for the wild ones. I'm just going to be honest with you. We have tried all these tame varieties. We've had no luck with them. I'm just being honest. The wild ones it has done better for us than any of them.
Y'all, I'm going to show y'all. I have tried all year. This is attempt number 6 this year. And it's in my pearl white Vago beds.
Yeah.
And Danny said, I don't know, it's probably too late, but look. My first yellow squash of the year. I'm really proud of that thing. And there's 2 more on there. I lost, 3 or 4 plants just wouldn't do.
Well, these plants may not make it. The powdery mildew's hitting today. And because the heat we've been in such a dry, we've been like 30% humidity. And all of a sudden, in 2 days now, the dew has come back and we are at 87% humidity right now outside. And the powdery mildew is just hitting them like crazy.
Yeah. And I've got, let's see, what else? Oh, I've got English peas. I've got some up about this tall. Not a full stand yet. I've got potatoes coming up. What would you say, about a third of the bed so far is popping up. Angela says she got her new Presto canner in on Thursday. Awesome.
All right.
Kayla said, I know you've already said, but what kind of onions do y'all order from Hoss this year? I'm fixing to order now with hopes that I'm have time to plant them when they get in, when we get some rain.
We got to plant them whether we get rain or not. But we got the, did we get the Texas? They didn't have Texas Legend. Did they have Savannah Sweets?
I don't remember. Let me
or was
see.
it the 1015s?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Just I'll look it up and see if I can
Kayla,
find it.
she may have to get back with you on that one.
Just answer somebody else for right now. And
Lippy said they're at 76 with 67% humidity right now. We are at 65 degrees outside with 87% humidity. That's the nights cool down pretty good, and you get up in the mornings. We're in the 50s in the morning now when we get up. But it don't take long when that sun comes over them trees right there. We're up at we went up to 90. We was at 91 or 92 today. I don't remember. I think it was 91 to be honest. It was either 91 or 92. But the heat index just goes way up there.
Well,
it's crazy.
I don't even see it. I don't know where I thought I would find it. Let me look.
Old Dominion, do not put the powdery mildew plants in your compost. Put them in a garbage bag and send them off with your garbage. Or burn them or do something.
That's an old order. I don't know.
I know, Miss Lippy, it is crazy that we're cooler than y'all are. But y'all are over, the heat dome is going up over you all right now. Now, we'll get it eventually. Well, no, I'll take that back. Today is our hottest day according to the records that I look at. I always look about 45 days into the future and see what they have for us. Crazy thing is, we're not even showing a freeze this year in the Deep South until around December the 4th or the 5th. Now, we're going to have a few days in the mid-30s, but to get down to a frosting freeze like 32 degrees, they say around December the 4th or December the 5th.
Oh, and I picked today probably nearly a gallon of contender green beans out of 2 Vago beds. I have one on each side of the greenhouse. Got a really good harvest today. We've already eaten out of them twice already. Danny harvested the peppers.
Yeah,
he got a bucket full of peppers. I mean, they were hiding in there everywhere.
We have picked peppers, and we have picked peppers. I bet we've picked over 1,000.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, them things just they just keep...
And we're not taking them down yet.
No, I ain't.
We still harvest
I probably have... We've give away peppers to people who come by, and I mean, just, to kids, our kids mainly.
Yeah. Jennifer came by this week, and Danny went out there and he harvested some and gave her some, and Jennifer went and got greens too.
Yeah, Jennifer went and got greens. And Amy went and got greens.
And after Jennifer left, it was the next day. I was out in the greenhouse and I walked through and I saw a giant pepper sitting there, and I thought, well, Danny just gave Jennifer some yesterday. It was late evening.
Yeah.
I went to look and I picked a double handful after he had done picked for Jennifer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, geez. So, and we're getting some good sized bales now.
Yeah, we're getting good sized bell peppers now. Randy Allen says, Danny, I thought about you today when I went through Philadelphia Williams Brothers, or we call it Williamsville. Isn't that where you got your multiplying onions years ago? Yes, it is. It's exactly where I got them. I'll be honest with you, Randy, I miss shopping at Williamsville so bad. They just, I don't know. It's one of them old kind of stores when you go in there. I used to always challenge the old colored man who worked in there. He cut the cheese and with a cheese cutter. Okay, he didn't just go around farting. Okay, but he cut the cheese, and you could tell him, you'd say, I want a half a pound or I want a pound, and he'd slide that cheese around there and take that knife and cut it. You know, I told him, I said, man, how you know that's a pound? He never opened his mouth. He'd take it out and sit it over there on that scale and it'd go to a pound. That man had cut so much cheese with that knife, he knew exactly with that hoop cheese where to cut it. And then cut your bacon for you. They'd slice your bacon up. Oh, it was, I miss places like that.
Well, I know Danny wishes he was up where he could have participated in Plow Day, JT. Well, that's Joey.
Yeah.
And he said he had 14 farmalls plowing at once.
Wow.
Danny would have his little cub up in there.
I'd have been there with my cub if I could have got it going, man. If I could have made it.
If he could have been there, he would have loved it.
We don't have nothing.
That.
Down here, people don't even. If you see a tractor like a 140 or a Cub or a Super A, now there's people around here who have them, but they collect them to ride in parades. They don't put them in the field and work with them or anything like that. They're just pretty. I mean, they look like they just rolled off of the showroom floors. And you talk about putting them in the dirt, they'd be like, oh, no, I just spent $20,000 on that tractor. There's no way I'm going to put it in the dirt. You're a nut. You know, and I'm like, I put mine out there and I got around my farmall. I'm probably close to $15,000 in my farmall. And I put mine out there in the dirt. You know, I mean, that's what it's made for. I cut hay with it. I grind cornmeal. I mean,
Yeah, he's going to be doing a lot.
I do everything with it. I'm like, why the heck have it if you're not going to use it?
Debbie Stamper said that her fig has little baby figs on it.
That's common this time of the year.
I have one on one tree, and Miss Lippy she's just rubbing it in a little bit because Mr. Buddy's got quite a few little fig trees going. She sent today, I think it was, or yesterday, a whole bunch of figs sliced on a platter because she's been harvesting 1 or 2 or 3 figs alone for a week or two now. So yeah, it is common to have figs late.
Tracy Massey says, Danny, is it too late to plant pear trees in West Virginia? No, you got all the way till next spring to plant pear trees, Tracy.
All right. Beverly Michael said, I planted multiplying onions this year. I planted 10, ended up with hundreds. Yes.
Yep, that's it. That's how it goes.
We almost lost ours again because we weren't paying too much attention because they were at Deepsouth, and that bed back there dries out really, really bad. And I was trying to keep it watered, but the sun was so intense. And finally, I just went over there and started pulling up handfuls of them and bringing them to Pecan Grove and putting them in containers everywhere. And so I've managed to save a good bit of ours by doing that. But as long as you can keep that little bulb alive, you're good.
Kayla says 3 variety bundle orders. Gonna try the red ones one more time. Now, we had some really good luck with red ones
this time?
Yeah, I think you did.
I think one of them was red.
One of them was red, yeah.
And I might have ordered the bundle. I can't remember, and I couldn't find my email what I ordered.
Darlene says, Danny, how's the smoker setting up? I hadn't touched it, Darlene. I haven't had time. Every day of my life has been hours and hours and hours out there working on that syrup furnace, you know, to get through with that thing.
Somebody said they still had okra blooming in the high tunnel, we still have those okra plants, and Danny's letting them go to seed.
Yeah.
They've done gotten so tall that he couldn't reach them without just totally bending it over half in half. But there, I saw there was okra on the top, so he's done took some seeds off.
Oh, let's see.
Tony says they're picking satsumas in
Hurley, Mississippi. Well, you're down there with you're down there with Kayla and them. This is the ones we've been picking right here off our trees right here.
We've been eating on those all week.
Look at that thing. Those things are so nice. We eat them every day.
And I'm saving all the peelings because I'm going to be making some stuff with it. I've got a couple of recipes I think we're going to see if we can't make with it soon. I'm just not into making videos cooking all the time, but when something comes across special, I'm going to be doing a little bit occasionally. So stay tuned sometime in the future for those.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know what the answer is.
What do you use to raise copper and magnesium levels?
Manganese.
Manganese levels.
Copper sulfate is what you need to raise the copper in your bed. Now manganese, I'm not 100% sure if I could give you an honest answer on manganese yet. I would have to look at that one because I've never had a manganese level low in my soil to have to deal with.
Nana City Garden says she's been working her tail off to replace her wooden beds with metal bed. We are really liking our Vago beds because it's making a huge difference. And Danny's actually got two he's got to put together.
We got two more, and they've been sitting out there now for about a week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks now. It's been about 2 weeks. They've been sitting in the high tunnel for 2 weeks. I just hadn't had time to put them together, and I've got baby cauliflower plants everywhere that needs to be put in them. And I'm sitting, I told Wanda, I said, there's only one of me. I can only do so much, you know.
And Danny and I have made the decision that I'm going to order 2 of the 6-in-1s in the pearl white to match the other pearl whites I have to go in front of the prepper shack where we have the little green kids beds. We're going to take the kids beds up, put they're like a square, aren't they? You made them into a square.
Yeah.
He thinks the 2 squares would look better than the 2 little kids beds, and we're going to put the kids beds in the high tunnel.
Yeah.
So we're fixing to do a little rearranging. You kind of figure out what you like and how you like setting them up, but we do like growing in them. You picked a whole bunch of jalapenos today.
I did pick the jalapenos today. Yeah. Now that's just the food jalapeno, not the hot ones.
Yeah. Darlene says, I got cane syrup fever, but we'll wait.
We're going to have to wait. We can't. Really what's bothering me is that we're not going to have any rain, and it's going to be, and we're going to have to cook, and it's going to bother me about fire. I mean, that's one thing I'm going to be really upset. It's going to be on my mind.
Yeah. Well, talking about just prepping for things, one thing we've got to do, but we've had no water. So we have onions coming. Danny's got to find a place for onions. We're fixing to be putting some more garlic in the ground. He's got to do all this prep work for those kind of things. Cabbage. We want to be growing a lot of cabbage. We did plant a few. Like he said, he's got all his cauliflower he hadn't even got out.
Yeah.
They're going to get too big.
Oh, Vicky says she was notified on Thursday that the Chilean hazelnut trees are scheduled to ship. They haven't shipped yet.
Okay, Dee said manganese sulfate, MN204. So that would help you find it online or ask your local gardening place. How do I keep ants out of raised beds? That's Renee.
Renee, I'm going to be honest with you. Here we go. This is how Danny keeps them out. I punch a hole about 2 foot deep in the ground with a piece of pipe or a stick or something. Where the bed is. Exactly right where the bed is. I just shove a stick, just as deep down in the ground as I can get it, and wobble it around in a circle, and I take 1 cup of gasoline and I pour it in it and cover the hole back up. Works every time. It's never affected my plants.
Usually they don't ever come back.
They don't ever come back. It kills a whole bed, and that has worked for me because I have absolutely found nothing else that works.
We had them in the high tunnel at Deepsouth 2 or 3 times, and he did that, and it worked. And even today, there's not hardly any ants. Once every now and then we'll find a spot where they're trying to come back, but we hardly ever have any there. When we first put some of our raised beds in here, the Vagos, they got in, what, 2 of them?
Yes, they got into, well, yeah, it was actually more aggravating inside units. You got to drill a hole in the wall to shove all that stuff through.
And you really need two good, strong men,
you really
not
need,
1 weak woman.
Yeah, you need 2 good guys to do this because it's the largest unit they make. And I'm trying to push that thing through the wall, and it's getting hung up on the other side because there's so much junk going through that little hole. I don't know why they don't make you have a bigger hole, but I was sitting there holding that thing over my head for it seemed like an hour trying to get it through there. And finally we got it done. And a little bit later I come in and told Wanda, I said, I just got to stop. I said,
he was hurting.
I was hurting so bad between my shoulder blades. I said, and I don't hardly ever hurt up in my shoulder blades, but for some reason it was hurting.
And it was because you were holding it for so long. Because I had to run outside, check to see what was going on outside, right, and tell him he had to pull it back out because it was getting stuck. And so that took a few minutes. Joe
Doe, Danny, are you harvesting a deer soon? Joe, I need to go ahead. It's so hot here. I hate to even shoot one right now, and it's so hot. But I'm probably going to have to pretty soon because they're starting to show up all in the yard, and they're walking all around the green patch, and they hadn't went in it yet because they got it double fenced. But I suspect at any moment one of them's going to just jump over in there and just do it anyway.
Yeah, that's why I canned a few of them, and just in case. I want to can some more, but I haven't had time in the last few days. Robert Mitchell.
Oh, Mr. Robert Mitchell, I'm so ready for you to smoke some bacon. Robert, you are not more ready than I am. I am so wanting to smoke bacon, but I haven't got my smokehouse built yet. That's the next thing on the agenda. I had to work in the house today. Ms. Wanda got on to me because I've been spending so much time on the furnace out there. I hadn't done anything on the house. So I had to spend the day putting up boards on the walls.
We actually got 6 boards on the wall.
I did. I got 6 boards put on the wall today. I got the mini split put in the master bedroom suite back there. Got the fresh air vent hooked up to the wood stove. I don't know why, but it's not hooked.
We don't need heat right now.
We don't need no heat, and plus the stove ain't even hooked to a pipe going outside, but I did get the fresh air vent hooked up. Did I get anything else done today? I mean,
you did. You picked up pecans and you
I did pick up pecans. I mowed around some of the pecan trees.
Do you still use Billy's bone sauce?
Yes.
We have some, yes, and we put it in spots. Yes. We haven't had to use it yet this year, but we did use it in the spring.
Yeah. Now I don't mind the deer being where they're at in the yard because there's a bunch of, we call them live oaks or Spanish oaks. There's about, there's 6 of them that's really big trees, and there's just hundreds of millions of acorns on the ground under them. And I really don't mind them coming up there eating the acorns here in the yard up here, but they are beginning to meander over toward, they started wandering over.
He hit a deer this morning with his truck.
What? Come on, Chris. Did it do any damage,
There's such thing as a gun. You didn't have to hit it. You could.
Well, he didn't say he actually got it. He just hit it.
He just hit it. Yeah.
Did you do any damage though, Bub?
I don't know. He hadn't answered yet.
That's what everybody's asking him. Did he do any damage to his truck? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
But we hadn't got the pig butchered. We have a pig. With me and Mr. Chris do. It's at Chris's house, but it's so hot you can't. It's not going to turn cold. I'm about to have a fit. You know, it's time to kill a pig. It's time to smoke some bacon. It's time to make some sausage, and
it's too hot.
And it's too hot. You know, I mean,
All right, Joe Doe says, what water levels are your ponds? Are you in a drought?
We are in a severe drought here at Deepsouth.
Yes.
One of our ponds at Deepsouth is about 6 foot low. Here at Pecan Grove, we're about 2 foot low on our pond. And they don't even show any rain in sight for us. I mean,
Chris said yes, not been a great day for him today, so he must have done some great damage to his truck, obviously.
Oh man.
Nadia said, what would cause oranges not to ripen? They've been on the tree for 8 months. That's a long time.
Well, Nadia, oranges are just like anything else. Our oranges is on our tree out there, and they've been on there since...
a long time.
They've been on there since spring, right after spring. They're not going to get ripe until it starts turning cool. When it turns cool, you know, they'll start to turn colors.
Yeah.
Let's see.
We like to wait till right around Thanksgiving to do our syrup because usually it's cold, and we have had to do it in October because we had a chance of freeze one year in October.
Tamara said, I had a pig butchered and the pork chops are tough. It depends, Tamara. It depends if you let it hang or not. If they didn't let it hang, then that's the reason it would be tough like that. Because pigs, I like to let mine hang no less than 3 to 4 days, just to make them as tender as I possibly can get them. B. Gatlin said our pond is almost all dry. Ours at Deepsouth is down to the static water level. We know that.
Yeah, it went. We've not really had any good rain in that pond in over 2 years.
Yeah. Donna says, please tell me why early voting is more important than voting on election day. Well, there's a lot of reasons behind that, Donna. People are expecting massive issues on election day. Now, Wanda and I are still going to wait till election day to go. I carry a weapon with me anyway, so it doesn't really bother me. But they are expecting some massive issues on election day or before.
All right, Chris said he didn't get the deer, and it was 8-point.
Oh!
And he did do a bang-up job on one, looks like on the left side.
Yeah, it looks like the passenger side of the truck.
Passenger side of his truck. But he can still drive, it looks like. Lippy said her lemons ripen in December. Ours are still on the tree.
Ours are still on the tree and still green.
Whatever that weird citrus is over at Deepsouth, they're about this big around, like giant lemons, and they're all yellow now. The tree is huge and it's just hanging in yellow, and I've got to figure out what to do with them. I sent some with Cynthia when she was here, and I've got to find out if she's done anything with them. I think I sent some with Heidi too the other day.
Tamber says it don't matter whether the pigs are in a big pen or a small pen. Someone fed it out for me too. That's true. I agree with that.
How do you hang meat so it gets tender and doesn't spoil?
We have it in a walk-in cooler.
Yeah, we have a walk-in cooler.
We have a walk-in cooler. We can set the cooler at whatever temperature we want. We usually set it around 34 degrees, and we hang them in there. We hang deer. We hang. Last year we hung our deer in there for like 6 or 7 days, and the pig we hang, for 3 to 4 days. It depends on the temperature, but let's see. Yeah, actually, this coming Tuesday's the day, ain't it? Yeah. Ain't it? Is it next Tuesday?
We got 2 weeks.
We got 2 weeks, okay.
Well, not quite 2 weeks.
No, I say it ain't quite 2.
It's a week and, 3 days?
Something like that, yeah.
It's not long. Just planted the citrus here in California, too big to keep in pots any longer. Danny's kind of debating on whether to put some of ours in the swampy areas, because keeping them in pots, ours has been in the pots 2 years now, most of them, at least 2 years, and the soil goes away. So either we've got to lift them out of the pots, put more soil in, and then put them back, or we've got to plant them in the ground somewhere.
Yeah.
Donna said her sweet potatoes were skinny things this year. Not sure why.
Patricia Bonifant has a good point there, and she is exactly accurate. In the Constitution, it says that the first Tuesday of November is you vote, not before and not after. And yet we do early voting and we do all this stuff, mail-in voting and all that kind of stuff. And really it's against the Constitution.
The only way the mail-in voting was supposed to be was like for elderly and shut-ins, because I used to work with the election thing. The elderly and the shut-ins could request mail-in votes, but they had to be able to put sign it, which anybody could have done it for them. You wouldn't know that. But it had to be put in an envelope, sealed, and signed across the envelope.
Yeah.
That way, nobody could unseal it, because when you did, it messed up the way it was written across. There was a lot of things, and that's where people were saying some of them weren't signed properly, some of them were unsealed and done things with. It's too easy to mess things up when you do a mail-in ballot.
Yeah. Chicken Checker 19 says, is Deepsouth for sale? It will be at some point. It's not right now. We're actually remodeling the whole place. And we got, we're in the middle of a remodel job. So
as well as building.
As well as building a new home. So it is taking a little bit longer than we anticipated. Plus, I'm still moving stuff. So it
takes longer to move when you move a little along. I told him every time I pick up 2 or 3 things and bring it and then go back and pick up 2 or 3 more. We're not we didn't do like most people, a big moving van and then move all of it at once.
That ain't gonna work. Well, there's a lot of stuff we're not keeping, and then there's a lot of stuff we are keeping. We're giving stuff away. I mean, it's a big change. Oh, let's see here. Get this thing off of it.
Yeah, you can move it. I just didn't know if you had some you were
No.
waiting on. Are you going to put your pineapple plants in the ground at Pecan Grove? I hope to next year. We have a bunch of babies this year, and I told Danny we've got to go get some potting soil, and I'm going to pot them in pots that are not real big, and that way I can put them on my porch and then bring them in or cover them or something during the winter. And then next spring, I hope he's going to have a spot for me to plant some in the ground. They seem to do better that way.
Let's see here. Oh, man. Actually, mail-in voting or early voting was for the military.
The military, that was the other.
Yeah.
I knew there was another reason, but I couldn't remember. It was military.
It was for the military. Because and there was a big... There was a big to-do one time because one of our vessels got hit in the side by a missile over there, and it happened to be right where all the boats were at, where they were shipping them out. I mean, it was really a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Mail-in
voting was for the military, but it was for the elderly and disabled that could not get to the polls. We had lots of people that would bring the elderly or disabled, and they do curbside voting. For anybody that doesn't know and you don't think you can get out and walk in or stand in line, elderly people, if you can get somebody to take you to the polls, have them go inside and tell the poll worker that you have an elderly or disabled person in the car that wants to vote. They need curbside voting, and they have to come outside and let them vote. And that way more people would get out and vote, knowing they don't have to go in and stand in line if they're not able to.
Right.
So get out and vote if you can.
Joe Doe says, Danny, what do you think about Terra Earth underground homes? I think any kind of underground homes are really the way to go. As a matter of fact, there's going to be some events happening in the future that if you don't have an underground facility, you probably, I hate to say it, you probably won't make it. But it's going to be very, very hard to live above ground. And it won't last long. It'll just be for a short period of time, but it will be bad.
Jan?
Oh, let me get Robert here. Robert says, Danny, what temperature do you smoke your bacon at? It depends on whether you're cold smoking or hot smoking. Cold smoking, you don't want to be over 80 degrees. You got to stay 80 degrees or less with the smoke. But if you're hot smoking it, I run mine up to about 135 to 137. And then I have run it up to 150, just to make sure. It depends on the mood I'm in. Sometimes I like to just go ahead and almost cook it. So when I take it out, if I wanted to eat it, I could just eat it and slice it and eat it. But I have found it holds up better in the freezer if I go ahead and just go ahead and cook it almost.
All right, Jan asked, are you keeping your massive tool collection when you sell Deep South? Of course, he just built a huge shop.
I just built this huge shop,
and and the big deal is he's supposedly putting everything in its place. He's building and organizing as he goes. Well, he started out really, really good. And one whole section is reasonably organized and looks good. Don't even look at the other side.
Well, it's because I'm having to do the smokehouse, I'm having to do the syrup furnace, I'm having to work on this house. I've had to let the shop just go by the wayside.
Well, what he does, he goes over and picks stuff up and brings it and puts it in the shop. And then he's got to work on other problems, so he can't organize it.
Yeah.
And then when he goes, he picks up more stuff and brings it. So he's gradually moving because he had a lot.
Chris did help me this past week, though. We got all the Danny corn moved up into the attic of it up there.
I haven't took pictures of that yet.
Nope, we got it all up in the attic, which I've got to get it down and go ahead and get it, ground up. I've got to get that done. Let's see here. Oh, where are we at?
Nicholas says, my wife said, disabled veteran, they will help you ride out small town when we come from. I'm not sure what that.
I'm not sure what that.
I thought they were talking about. Some of these places they will pick people up for voting, and I thought maybe that's what you were talking about.
Oh, let's see here.
Susie NC says, in Washington State, just about everybody gets their ballots in the mail, and you can mail them back or take in to the voting box. That's weird.
That is really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that is unusual.
Okay, Bart says, where'd it go? Where did it go? There it goes. It just jumped on us. Danny, can I plant my pineapples in the ground here in North Carolina as long as I put plastic over it with a light at cold nights? We've done that before, Bart. We've planted ours in the ground and we've covered them up, and they made it all through the winter. Let's see here. Child of the King, Jesus my Lord. I live South Richmond, right beside the boonies, and a farmer down a street. Corn turned out just like mine, burnt to a crisp, a whole crop, but everything else I grew well. Child of a King, how do I say this? And we have some things going on because of the core of the earth is coming to a stop. I'm trying to figure out how to say this in layman's terms, so it doesn't sound too scientific and make everybody get all confused. The core of the earth is kind of coming to a stop, and when it does, it has to sit there for a while before it begins to turn in the opposite directions, which will actually cause a magnetosphere flip in the earth. And when this particular event takes place, what will happen is you will get streaks through the earth that has massive radiation coming through it. It's kind of like, when you see a tornado when it goes over through the mountains or through a particular piece of property. Houses are tore all to pieces, and then 50 feet outside where the houses are tore, everything looks fine. That's kind of what's going to happen with the radiation. It's happening now already, but in the next 2 years, it's going to get even worse. There's going to be streaks that's going to come through the earth, and radiation is going to just literally burn up everything, and then 5 foot from it, the plants will be totally fine.
We had that happen one year, and we didn't know what was going on, but and people thought we were crazy. They told Danny, well, you just didn't water it. You didn't water it enough. You didn't do this. But it was literally, if you stood on the hill where the cabin is and looked where it burnt through and all the way to the house, it went through one edge of our cornfield. Things on one side or the other was growing fine. But there was a streak through his Danny corn, like it just hit the Danny corn, burned it up. It went straight through to our greenhouse, our high tunnel, hit one corner, the plants in one corner burnt, went over on the other side, went straight through it. What was it? It was a huckleberry.
Huckleberry and a
what's that flower? The blue flower. Hydrangea.
Hydrangea.
It hit both of those and burnt both of those up, but the ones on each side of it weren't burnt. And everybody kept saying, well, you didn't water them enough. You didn't. Well, what happened to the others if they didn't get done? It was like a streak through there. If you look from down, up above, down, it was a streak. And so it does happen.
Will It Grow says, Danny, is there a time when you will give up your style of living? No. The only way I'll give up my style of living is when I can't literally go out the door anymore and do anything.
Well, that would be the time.
That would be the time. Neolog says, are you building an underground house? No, I would love one, but for time's sake and what's fixing to happen to our country and other places, I didn't have the resources to build an underground home. I would have loved to. As a matter of fact, when we were looking at this property that we have, I was looking at a property that did have an underground house on it, but it was even closer to the coastline, and I don't want to be anywhere closer to a coastline. I don't want to be around a coastline anywhere in the United States, to be honest with you, because of what's going to happen. So,
Lady Luger, no, it wasn't lightning because it wasn't even raining. It just happened overnight, like
yeah, it was just
blue skies, crazy.
Just crazy.
And we kept saying, what in the world? We couldn't figure it out because it literally looked like somebody took a torch and burnt the plants.
Vicky Savage says, what is the maximum height acceptable for a banana plant? Some of the best are 16 to 20 feet. It all depends on variety, Vicky. I mean, we have some of them that get up to 20 feet tall, and we have some of them that don't get over 6 or 8 feet tall. Is it Cavendish? Is how we say that?
That's the little one.
That's the little dwarf bananas we have. They don't get over about 6 or 8 feet tall, maybe 10 at the most. But now our other banana trees, they get 15, 20 feet tall sitting out there.
All right. Joe Doe says, what are your final preps before the election?
Oh, Joe.
A lot of prayers.
There's so much speculation about what might happen between now and Tuesday week. That there's still chatter floating around out there that it won't ever happen. It'll never actually go off. The vote won't. No. And that's why so many people are early voting, because they figure something's going to happen. There's also chatter that other countries are not going to let us have this election. It's I can't go into any more detail than that, but my personal prep is I'm trying to get everything as close to where I can survive if I don't have electricity, because that day is coming. I'm going to tell you, whether you want to believe it or not, if there's a day coming you're not going to have any electricity. There's a day coming you're not going, well, I got to shut up. There's some weird things.
But even if there was anything happened, in any way, shape, or form, be prepared to have your food, your medicine, your water, the specific needs you need at your house for at least a week.
Get about a 30-day supply if you can.
30 if you can do it, but a week can do 30, at least do
30 days. Especially with meds. If you we don't take any meds, but if you're on meds, that.
Would a basement be better to have?
Yes, a basement is always unless you're close to the coastline. If you're close to a coastline, you don't want a basement. But no. And if you live in a deep ravine and valleys and stuff like that, you don't want a basement. The only place you want a basement is if you're up on a hill or something.
All right, let's see what else.
Next it says, what about the blue ice melting from the icebergs from the bottom up? So that means volcanic activities. Blue ice is what's formed when the bottom of glaciers that are deep underneath the ocean have a different makeup than the top part of the glacier does. Down underneath it, down in there, there's more, how can I put this in layman's terms? There's more oceanic activity down there, And as it melts, it becomes what they call blue ice. And when the blue ice mixes with the actual ocean water that is around it, it changes the structure of the water. It actually messes with loop currents and stuff like it. It does a lot of different things that it messes with. There's bacterias that are in that blue ice down there that's not even known to man yet, because it's been down there for thousands of years frozen. And what we have happening is we have magma leaks underneath the ocean, all over the ocean, everywhere there's magma leaks. And it's causing these glaciers to melt. It has nothing to do with global warming because it's melting from the bottom up. And it's a magma. It's what it is. The center of the Earth, like I told you a while ago, is stopping. The inner core of the Earth is heating up based on the sun and the magnetosphere. I'm not going to go into details about all this because you wouldn't understand it if I did, probably. But just understand that the Earth is overheating on the inside, and magma is beginning to flow out on the ocean floor in lots of different places, and it's going to be changing the temperature of the ocean. And when you change the temperature of the ocean, the weather becomes more violent, more chaotic. All this kind of stuff begins to happen, and people want to blame it on HAARP. They want to blame it on this. They want to blame it on that, and it's nothing more than the fact that the magma is leaking underneath the bottom of the ocean, heating it up. Okay.
Dee said they're building docks on the Mississippi River.
They're actually building new levees all over the Mississippi River, especially north of New Orleans and Baton Rouge and all down there. They're building these new levees.
A lot of them want to know how far off the coast would be good.
I wouldn't be within, to me personally, I wouldn't be within 30 miles of a coastline anywhere. You know, I mean, I just wouldn't.
We're probably what, about 30?
No, we're about 45 miles.
30 to 40 miles.
We're about 45 miles inland. I wouldn't be any closer than that.
And two, I mean, it's according to how flat the land is where you're at, and from coast to where you're at too. I think that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Well, it depends on the terrain.
The terrain, yeah.
Yeah. If you're in Florida, it don't matter where you're at. You're gonna go underwater probably at some point. But next it said, I understand what's going on. I just wanted you to tell it. Well, it's good to meet people that actually understand what's actually happening out here, because we're being lied to every day of our life. So many things are being hidden that it makes me aggravated, you know, to see what's actually going to happen, and they don't tell people because they're like, well, it'll create a mass panic, and people will start running to all the grocery stores, and they'll start buying up all the food, they'll start buying up all the gas, and, you know, I mean, that's a yes and no answer. I mean, we have that happen every time a hurricane comes through. People panic and run out and buy craziest thing in the world. They buy milk and bread. I mean, I don't even know how they're going to keep the milk cool in a storm, but they do it. You know?
The bread will last a long time.
Yeah, the bread won't go bad because there ain't nothing real in it. It's all cardboard. Yeah.
Is there a way to preserve meat in my freezer with salt if I lose electricity?
You could do it with salt if you have enough of it. I mean, we ourselves, you know, we store up lots of salt just simply for that very reason. If we had to preserve meat, we could do it. But now you have to understand your palate,
meat's frozen.
Your palate taste is going to be different, okay?
It tastes different. It ain't gonna taste like it does normally, but
okay, I gotta answer this one. We got somebody here who's a smart ass. Jan Meyer says, why does Danny think he's smarter than anyone else watching these videos? Jan, I don't think I'm smarter than anybody else in the world. As a matter of fact, I think I'm probably one of the dumbest people that there is. It's just that it's not going to do me any good to sit here and try to explain anything and it go over everybody's head. I'm wasting my time. The Bible says that 10 words spoken in a known language is better than 10,000 words spoken in an unknown language. You know, so I mean, I try to heed to what the Bible says. I mean, it's not going to do me any good to sit here and try to explain things.
Just know that something's happening and you need to be prepared, whether it's tomorrow or 10 years from now.
Yes.
We've been saying that for what, 8 or 9 years? Be prepared.
Right.
We don't know what day.
You don't know.
You could be sick for 6 months, and if you're not prepared for that time, and you have no money or no food, no nothing, and nobody coming in to help you, you have just messed up. You got to be prepared for anything. All right. Renata said, "Is it too late to plant collards?"
No, it ain't gonna be cold till mid-December, so don't worry about it. Plant them.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock, so yeah, put your prayer request up.
Yeah.
Milk, eggs, and bread is what everyone seems to buy when they call for snow here. Yeah.
I don't.
Most people get snacks. When they say there's a hurricane, they go get bread, sandwich meat, chips, cookies, Coca-Colas. This is the stuff that they prepare for a hurricane. Like they're having a Super Bowl party or something.
Yeah. JV says, have you ever had salted pork before or made it? Yeah, we were raised, when I was a kid, we were raised on salt pork. Everybody used to say, oh, salt pork is bad for your arteries. Well, guys, I was raised on salt pork, and matter of fact, my doctor told me here a while back that with the older I get, I need more and more salt in my system. And I just went for a heart cath, and all my arteries are perfectly clean. And I eat lard every day of my life, you know, homemade lard, not store-bought lard. So there's a lot of myths out there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
All right, somebody said
gosh, you can spinning that thing so fast. I can't.
It bumped, and I
don't even know where we're at now.
I saw one I was going to show you. Let me see where it went.
Okay, we were just right here because that's the one I read JV's.
All right. Vicky said, I heard that the lithium deposits running from Florida through Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas are already in mineral claims, not the situation in North Carolina. That's quite possible because all of our mineral rights are owned by somebody else. When you buy land in Mississippi, you don't get the mineral rights. That's held, and we don't even know who owns them, to be honest with you.
I don't know who owns the mineral rights to this one.
What about water rights?
We own the water rights.
Okay, we own the water, but not the mineral.
Yeah.
So that means if our land, if somebody found oil on our land or knew that oil was here, they have the right to come in, and they did this when I was a kid. They had oil wells on everybody's property all over the place. Now, they do give you a percentage because it's your land.
Yeah, you get a royalty check off of it.
Yeah, but you don't own the rights to it, and they have the right to come in and
if you say, no, you're not coming on my property, which you can do that. You can say that. What they'll do is move off to the neighbor's property right next to you and pay them royalties, and they'll drill under you.
Yeah.
I mean,
that happened too.
That happened too, yeah.
You lost out money, and somebody else got it because they drilled at an angle. James
King says, my dad has been eating anything he wants for 79 years and still works right alongside the younger men. Yep. It's not the food that we're eating today that's killing us. It's the chemicals that's in the food today. Now, I can't say that may not be a totally correct statement because it is some of the food because some of it's genetically modified.
Yes.
But the food that's not genetically modified, it's the chemicals that they're actually putting into the soil when they grow it, the chemicals they're putting on the food when they grow it. You know, it's kind of like I gave y'all the scenario one time about wheat. And how I talked to the scientist at the factories where they were making the wheat at, and he said, wheat ain't for human consumption. Oh my goodness, don't even eat that stuff. He said, I don't. And when he explained to me what goes on in wheat, you would never get me to eat wheat unless I grew it myself. I mean, it would just never happen.
If there were only 3 things that you could survive on, that you could grow, what would it be?
Oh, Texas chopper. One of them would be sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes would be number 1. Irish potatoes might be number 2 because it takes nothing to grow them. and they're can be used for 100,000 different ways. You can use them.
And sweet potatoes would grow in the heat and stuff, and you can also eat the leaves and the stems.
If I had to grow anything else, it would probably be something like garlic or something, because
garlic and onions.
Garlic and onions, because they are loaded with antibiotics as long as you don't cook them. You know, they have lots of onions. Raw onions is a natural blood thinner, so you don't have to. You know, if you get older and your blood needs to be thinned down some. I mean, you don't have to take any kind of blood thinners or nothing. That's what blew the minds of the people at the heart doctor when I was there. They told me, said, well, we may have to put you on some Plavix, Mr. King. I said, that ain't happening. They said, well, your blood may need to be thinned down. I said, well, I'll just eat raw onions and peppers, you know, raw. And the lady, she looked at me and she goes, well, that would give you onion breath. Nobody want to be around you. I said, I'm married. I ain't looking for nobody. And she said, well, what about your wife? And Wanda goes, well, I eat raw onions too.
And I've not noticed us I mean, like, if you go to town, years ago, go to town and get a hamburger with onions on it and eat that burger. After a while, you can smell your own breath.
Yeah.
You could literally smell the onion. And probably all day long, and maybe the next day. Danny and I have started buying, we have our own onions, but this year they were real small.
Yeah.
So we bought from Azure. I have bought some every month when I order, and I've been slicing them up, and we've been eating them fresh, and I don't notice the onion at all. I don't know if it's a difference in how they're grown, or what it is, or if the onions, like back in the day, were old and it causes problems. I mean, you know, I don't know.
I've seen a question go by several times. I don't even remember who it was. They said, why are my sweet potatoes so skinny?
Donna,
sweet potatoes get skinny for a number of reasons. Mainly not enough water for them and nutrition, because if they don't get enough water and nutrition, they begin to just reach deep, deep, deep into the soil looking for moisture, and they become just long, skinny roots, and they don't really ever, you know, they don't really ever really grow to potential, because they're actually reaching for nutrients and water. And that's been my experience now.
All right. Yes, these are sweet onions.
Yes, they're all sweet onions.
And it's possible that these places that do hamburgers may not know the difference between a sweet onion and you know, all the varieties, and they may just be getting a cheap onion.
Yeah. And
it might be hot or semi-hot, and it has that. I really don't know. Yeah, I seen somebody say something about onion sandwiches, and Lippy says she eats onion and mayo sandwiches twice a week for lunch.
Yeah.
Well, we just been eating the raw onions, plus I take and slice them some days and put olive oil on them and stick them in the oven and cook them, and that makes them even sweeter. If you don't really like the fresh onion, drizzle it in some good olive oil, bake it 15-20 minutes, flip it a few times while it's baking. That brings out that sweet taste in them. You'll get hooked in a heartbeat. Danny, can I overwinter avocados in a greenhouse in zone 7B? That's reap what you sow gardening.
You can, but you're going to have to really keep the temperature monitored in there, because they can't take anything cooler than 40 degrees.
Yeah. Okay, so they put up prayer requests and stuff. We do need to be praying for our country, for the candidates, for people voting. What else?
Oh.
The people in North Carolina.
Oh, we want to keep
Florida and Georgia
and the path of Helene and
Texas
and those other hurricanes that come through.
Yeah.
That's
Miss Mary Beth. Happy birthday. And it was Allison's birthday.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Happy birthday,
yeah.
Allison.
Yeah.
So we have 2 birthdays at least.
Let's see.
Chili dogs piled with onions. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. have to get up close where I can see it. It's funny, these glasses, I can see fine as long as I'm up close, but when I back away, everything just gets fuzzy, and I can put them down.
I have a certain point that I have to be
now sitting back without the glasses way back here, I can see it fine. But if I get like right here, I can't see nothing.
Miss Fran eats mustard and onion sandwiches.
It's kind of amazing. Everybody eats a lot of things.
All right, James King said he planted his carrots and covered them, and they came up within 6 days. He said, "Thank you for the video."
You are more than welcome.
All right, they're telling Allison and Mary Beth happy birthday.
Yeah.
And Anne Marie's daughter, today is her birthday. Next, it said their birthday was last Saturday. Darlene's was the 23rd. 61. I'm older than Darlene.
Oh.
I have to admit it. Diane says her whole family came. Her birthday was yesterday.
T. Parada says, please pray that Patty doesn't become a hurricane and turns away from Florida. Actually, there could be as high as 3 to 4 hurricanes come out of that one system. So that's what's kind of unusual about that. Let's just pray that it don't happen.
There was a weird planet alignment supposed to have happened, and I saw something that said something to.
That was actually on the.
That was yesterday, I think, wasn't it?
Was it? I thought it was the 24th.
Is that today?
Well, today's the 26th. 2 days ago. It'll be 2 days ago.
But I think today was another, or tomorrow, with the sun, and it was supposed to be. I don't know if they.
We had a class 3 solar flare that hit 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe
there's supposed to be there's supposed to be something today or tomorrow with the sun. So if y'all start having some weird something, kind of see if it passes. Darlene, I am older. I'm 63.
Yeah.
2 years, but that's 2 years.
Yeah, Jeff Outdoors says Apophis should be looked at more. Yeah, they actually said Apophis wasn't going to come through until 2029. But let me tell you something.
Happy birthday, Lena.
It's about 2 years ahead of schedule, or actually 3 years ahead of schedule is what I've been. My information that I get says it's about 3 years ahead of schedule.
All right. Yeah, Florida doesn't need any more hurricanes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to have a prayer?
Yep. We need to have our prayer here, guys. Father, we're thankful that you've given us a blessed week this week, Father. You allowed us to accomplish many projects, and it feels good to see something come to an end and to be able to begin something new. And Father, there's a lot going on in this world today around us. Seems like there's more so than what we've ever faced in our life. A lot going on with Israel and Iran right now. That is fixing to, it's probably fixing to blow up into something we don't even want to think about. But Father, take care of your people. Take care of us here in the United States, because we're fixing to face some issues that most of us aren't used to having to deal with, and it's going to be a little tough. And that's why every week I pray, Father, that you would protect your own people. I know it rains on the just as well as the unjust. You've told us in the scriptures that one city will be flooded while another one burns up right beside it. And Father, I'm just praying that you will please take care of your people and make them, as I always pray, make them a land of Goshen in the midst of the plagues, Father, that nothing happens to your people. The wicked get what they justly deserve, and there's nothing we can do about that. But Father, I'll just love you. And there's a lot of people here tonight who've got people that's not doing well. I seen one where the father went into a nursing home as it passed by, and Lord, the government's trying to get he signed everything over to the government, was my understanding for it, and the family's not liking it, and Father, that's a sad moment when that happens in a family, and lifelong dreams are just gone. And then we have people who've had surgeries or going to have surgeries, and people that have cancer, and all kinds of physical issues, unspoken prayer requests, and Lord, it's just a number of things that went through the chat here a while ago, and only you, Father, only you, the one, the true living God, can look down and answer them in a way that will best suit the individual and best suit your purpose for their life now. Father, we pray for each and every one of them in the name of Christ. So go with us through the night. Help us to be able to rise up tomorrow and do the will of the Father. And realize that we're not put here for our own good, but we're put here to do the work of the Father now. So Lord, forgive us where we failed you. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen. Oh, boy.
All right, let's see.
Let's see here.
What is the magnification strength for your glasses?
Mine's
125.
125 or 150. I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. It's either 125 or 150. And the thing about it was, I had perfect vision till I went to the eye doctor. And when I went to the eye doctor, he did all these things to my eyes. I'm not blaming him for anything, but it's just kind of strange that when I come out of the eye doctor for the next 20 minutes, Wanda was driving home. I couldn't even make the vehicles out on the road.
Yeah,
and
it's like something.
And from that point forward, I can't read fine print anymore. And before, I could read print down so fine you couldn't even hardly see it.
And the doctor was bragging on all that.
Yeah, the eye doctor was bragging on me. And now I can't read nothing without a pair of glasses. I don't know what they done to my eyes, but it ain't been good.
Well,
I know that.
He dilated them, I think.
Yeah, he did. He dilated them.
That may have triggered something. I don't know.
It might have. I don't know.
They want a tip.
Oh, man.
Be prepared. I don't know. I'm just being silly.
Oh.
You didn't tell us how to
preserve meat with salt. You have to have a salt box, and you got to put a layer of salt, a layer of meat, a layer of salt, a layer of meat, a layer of salt, and a layer of meat.
If your meat is frozen, you have to thaw it out.
It's got to be thawed out meat.
And not cold.
And it needs to be kept at a cool temperature while you're doing this. You can't just put hot meat in there at 80 degrees and expect it to work. I mean,
the old people had a system, and they knew their system, and we don't exactly know it. You can go back to old ways of preserving, and a lot of people will tell you. But in a situation like that, it's really hard to say. And then you're going to go, I'm kind of scared to eat it because I'm not sure it's good. I mean, because most people mentally aren't going to want to, and it's going to be very salty. It is not going to taste like meat's supposed to taste. It's going to be very, very salty. I think at that point I'd become a vegetarian.
Yeah.
I'd eat any weed I could find.
Okay.
Tip.
Okay, let's think.
Good night,
what kind of a tip can we use tonight? Let's talk to the people in the northern climate for a change. If you live in a northern climate, and I'm going to say from the Mason-Dixon line north, I strongly suggest that you prep as much as you can for some of the most severe cold you've ever seen. Let's do something hypothetical here for a moment. Let's just say that you had hurricane force winds blowing, and they lasted for days, and it was 20 degrees outside to 0, and power went out. How would you stay warm? Do you have the ability to build a fire in your house? Do you have ability to heat your home in any kind of a way? I mean, these are things that if I lived north of the Mason-Dixon line, I would strongly start looking into. A way to keep myself warm. A way to keep myself with some water to drink. If I had a basement, I would definitely be setting my basement up to survive in if it was me. because it'd be easier to heat a basement underground than it would a structure above ground in that kind of a situation. I would be investing in some of these little battery-powered lights that you can just punch with your finger and they come on. I might would invest in some of them. You know, but and if I lived anywhere around New York City, I might would start having me an escape route of some kind, because whether they've told you if you live in that area or around it or not, New York is a ticking time bomb. There is probably around 30 new fault lines in the United States that has not been talked about yet. One of them, I told y'all, was on the western Appalachian mountainside. It reaches all the way up through Virginia and goes all the way up into to New York City. New York City is sitting on a huge magma caldera right now, and it is getting hotter by the day. It's quite possible that New York could go up in fire. And if I lived anywhere around New York City, I would have me an evacuation route. I'm just being honest with you. I would. But that would be my tips for tonight. You know, if I lived in any one of those areas, those are the things that I would start doing now, because there's a very high probability that New York will burn. Very high probability.
Okay. I guess we're pretty much there. Most everybody's, pretty much should be prepped.
Yeah.
For anything. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's they shut us down, hurricane, fires, volcanoes, whatever. And there's some things you can't prepare for. So you need to prepare your mind for that. If there's something that you can't prepare for, you got to say, okay, make your mind up. You got to leave. You have to leave. And that's going to be another thing to prepare your mind. Georgia Garden Girl, we will be praying for you. She says she's missed us. To remember her in prayer. She's not well. She's got stage 4 kidney failure. Her thyroid disease is uncontrollable. Basically, I'm going to meet the Lord soon. Well, we will be praying for you.
We'll be praying for you, that the Lord will work a miracle in your life.
We hadn't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I knew it'd been a while since we heard anything from her. Yeah.
And we'll ask all our friends here to keep her in prayers too.
Y'all keep Georgia Garden Girl in prayer.
All right, you ready to go?
Yep, I guess so. Guys, we've enjoyed sitting here with you tonight, and just don't get all upset. Don't get panicky. We face things down here next to the Gulf Coast where we live at. You know, I mean, we possibly in November and late November, we have more hurricanes coming up in here. And we don't know if they're going to come our way. We don't know if they're going to go to Florida, Texas, Mexico. We don't know which way they're going to go yet. It all depends on where they decide to send them, I suppose. But we're going into, the MDR is going into a very favorable condition about mid-November to the end of November. And that is highly unusual for us because we're getting ready to go back into another La Nina. And it's just not going to be good. That's all I can say. It's just not going to be good.
We can only ask that you know that Jesus is your Lord and Savior.
Yes.
Make your preparations.
Make your preparations
and be good
now.
with whatever happens in any way, shape, or form. That's the number one thing that the prep of all times. Don't wait, and know that now, and everything else will fall into place.
It's kind of like Wanda and I were talking the other day, and I'll shut up after this. But Wanda and I were talking the other day about the drought that we're in and how it's bad. I told her, I says, but I said, why don't you stop and think about Elijah when he was in a drought for 3 years where he was at. And to show you how God works, God told him, says, go over to the brook at Kidron. There's water there. And so Elijah went over, and he basically lived in the woods. He didn't have to worry about it raining because it wasn't raining. He didn't have to worry about bad weather or anything like that. And the ravens actually went and got food and brought it to him and fed him. I mean, God is a great God. I mean, he literally went to the extent of moving Elijah from where he was at over to a particular piece of property at the brook of Kidron. And he allowed birds out of the wild to bring food to him. I mean, God will go to the extreme for you if you'll go to the extreme for him. That's why I tell people, never give up. If you're, it's like when the doctor looked at my other wife that passed away, and one of them said, well, you only got so many months left to live. And then later on she says, well, where am I at? Well, another doctor, she said, where am I at? Well, my amount of time I have left to live. He says, I got a PhD. I'm not GOD. I mean, you got to stop and realize man is not in control of your destiny or your end. It's in your hands and your Father's hands, your Heavenly Father's hands. I'm not leaving here. I don't care what in the world happens to me. I'm not leaving here till it's my time to go. And when it's my time to go, God will have finished with me.
And nothing's going to stop you from going.
Nothing will stop you. You can be in the most perfect health in the world. And if it's your time to go, you're going to go. So don't freak out because your health's not the best in the world or whatever. You
could be here till you're 95 years old in bad health.
Wanda and I met a lady that had cancer, 5 times?
She always bragged about, not really bragged, but that might be the wrong word, but you could be talking to her and she'd say, well, I've had cancer 4 or 5 times, and she's still going.
She was in her 90s.
No, she was only in her 70s.
Oh, that's right. She was in her 70s. That's correct.
She'd tell Danny, she says, and I have to go pick these old ladies up and haul them around. And some of them were in their 60s, wasn't even as old as her. And she was hauling and calling them old ladies. And she was only in her 70s. And she was hauling people around younger than her that could not get out and get around. Yeah. And she had cancer 4 times.
And she was on a walking stick, just barely getting along outside.
Still growing all her plants.
Yep, grew all of her own plants. Did plant start where I learned a lot about growing and grafting and all that kind of stuff from her. I mean, the woman was amazing. She says, I'm not going to die and leave this world till the God gets ready for me, And she had a positive attitude. Look, positive attitude is number 1. And first of all, don't speak something on yourself that don't exist, okay?
Okay, so we've got to go, but y'all heard Danny got preaching a little bit.
I can't help it.
That's all right. That's what we're here for.
That's it. I can't help it.
All right, so.
All right. I'm sorry, guys.
We're going to try and do a few videos. We've just been, I guess, so tied up in what we're doing right now, trying to just get everything done, that the videos have went by the wayside a little bit, but I can't promise we're going to get any better.
We'll try to get back on track. We're going to try.
But we do have another cat Toley to give away, the pH meter. And before long, we may have some other stuff, because I'm talking to some companies. They want me to do a review, and usually I will tell them if they want me to do a review, they need to send me some other stuff that I can give away. So we'll see.
All right. We're going to get off here, guys. We've had enough. We've kept y'all long enough. Thank you. We love you, and we appreciate it.